Hi, everybody. It's Eva, and I'm taking over this week's Career Lunch Break episode. Here at Erin Lewber Coaching, we work with people in career transitions, whether that's pivoting into something new, climbing the ladder in the space that you're already in. And I personally work primarily with career pivoters because that's my story. I don't work exclusively with teachers, but my background tends to attract them. And honestly, I get it because I lived it. And through this work, one thing that I've noticed is that self doubt shows up every single time, whether I'm working with a teacher or not. But for teachers, it does hit a little bit differently because teaching isn't a job for most people who do it. It sort of becomes your identity and it's seen as a calling. So when you start questioning whether you should leave, it's not really like, oh, I'm just questioning my career or my job. You're questioning a lot of who you are. And that's super, super heavy a heavy thing to carry into a job search that's already difficult. So today's guest is my friend, Emily Tadepalli. She was a first grade teacher, national board certified, and she's currently finishing her doctorate. And as of January, she is officially out of the classroom. And she didn't leave because of a nightmare admin or some type of breaking point. She left because she was just done. Similar to me, I can relate to that. But she was done and she knew it. And that is something really important. And we don't always acknowledge that. So, hey, Emily, welcome.
Oh my goodness. Hi. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, of course. Thank you for being here. So Emily and I connected on LinkedIn months ago, having a very similar background and similar take on many issues when it comes to education, making the transition.
And in the process, we've basically become twins. We've
Yeah,
become
yeah, right. So yes, we basically have realized how aligned we really are. So I really just want to just get into it. Something that struck me when we were talking is you were telling me that you left in January. You left mid-year. And we hear from a lot of teachers, and we'll get into this part too, but we hear from a lot of teachers that want to finish off the school year, right? And they're nervous, they're scared to leave in the middle of the year. For you, you left in January. It seems like you were in a really good school. Like you weren't in a negative space.
Sure.
But
Yes.
I would love for you to walk me and our listeners through what that decision was actually like. Like, what was the point where you were like, it's time, and take us from there?
I mean, first of all, the question about leaving in January or leaving at some point before the school year starts. I say this a lot and I truly mean it. So I want your listeners to hear it. And it is opportunity is not a lengthy visitor. Opportunity doesn't come around all the time. And it
Yeah.
can come in January or it can come in March. So for teachers, that's very difficult to wrap our brains around because other
Mhm.
industries don't work um, with a school year academic calendar. For
Definitely not.
me, for me, it was a lot of different things compounded. Like you said, I was working at a wonderful school. I had supportive admin. My parents were great. It was an affluent school where I had a lot of opportunities to think outside the box, and I had the funds to be able to make all of those ideas come to life. I just I loved what I did, and I taught for 16 years. I taught kindergarten, first, third, and I did small group reading pull out. I loved it until I didn't love it anymore.
That's what I always say.
Yeah,
Always. I loved it till I didn't. Yeah.
that's it. I loved it until I didn't.
Mhm.
And I my first degree is in broadcast journalism,
Oh, I
and
didn't know that.
yeah. So
Okay.
I have two bachelor's and masters. Now I'm working on my doctorate. I love school. I guess I am just a forever learner. I my first degree is in journalism, and when
Mm.
I graduated, I thought, "God, I really don't want to do this. I don't really want to do this." And so I went on a lot of interviews, and I sat in those interviews, and I thought, "Why am I here? Don't want to do this either." And so there was a day I did like some soul searching, and there was a day when the clouds parted and the angels sang, "You're gonna be a teacher." And I went full throttle like I do in any aspect of my life. But I
Mhm.
went full throttle in finishing up that second bachelor's in that degree. But I told myself when I had chosen this path, if there ever came a point that I didn't want to do this anymore, then I needed to honor that because the students deserved a teacher who wanted to be there.
Yeah. I
And it
hear that.
became a point where it wasn't me anymore. So I
Mhm.
I started feeling this way probably like 2 years before I quit. And I remember writing it on social media. Do you ever just feel stuck? So I felt stuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and that's an icky feeling because you don't know
Mhm.
where to go. You don't know what to do. You don't know the next step, but you know you need something different. And that was the day that I decided to begin my national board process. And you know
Mhm.
how boards is. You can take
Yeah.
years to do it. It's very grueling and demanding. It's the ultimate professional development.
Yeah.
And I did everything, all 4 components in 8 months.
Oh my gosh.
Again, full throttle.
Yeah.
So I
You
operate.
just were, like, committed. You're like, "This is what I'm doing."
Yes. And my thought process was that this was the thing that I had been on the back of my mind and on the back burner for a
Yeah.
very long time. And this was the thing that was going to change me. I was no longer going to feel stuck.
Yeah.
I was going to feel re inspired. And it had the adverse effect because all it did was prove to me that I was capable of doing so much more than
Mhm.
I had
Yeah.
really given myself credit for. And going through that process taught me I don't know what it is that I want to do, but I
Yeah.
know it's something different. I submitted my letter of resignation the morning before national boards results were posted. So I literally quit the same day I found out I passed my boards.
Oh my gosh.
I went on time.
And yeah, and I mean, that takes a lot, and I think I really commend you for trying to make it work, right? Like, trying to figure out, like, okay, what else could I do to sort of reignite this flame and relight this spark? And I was dealing with something similar. I did not go for my boards, but I did go to a new school, and I went to a very highly rated public school in the New York City Department of Education, 12 minutes from my apartment, like. Great place, and still felt stuck, like you said. And it is an
Yes.
icky feeling, I think, especially when you're somebody who needs to be doing something and seeing that whatever you're doing has some type of result or impact. I felt like I wasn't getting that from teaching. And I like what you said, it wasn't fair to the kids. And I was getting into that space too. I'm like, it's not fair to the kids. It's not fair to me. Like, it's not fair to my husband. It's not fair to my friends. Cause like I'm always like looking for something that I wasn't able to find as a teacher.
Right.
And it seems like, yeah, like you were similar. You're like, okay, like maybe these boards will help. And then you did it and you still were like, nah, like
That just felt so
not for me.
cyclical. Like every August, all right, we're doing the same thing. And it wasn't because I didn't leave because of the kids, but I knew that they deserved someone who
Yeah.
could give them their whole heart. And
Mhm.
I was doing it. I was doing it well, but my heart wasn't in it anymore.
Oh my gosh, I hear that so much.
Like at
Yeah.
all. And so
Yeah.
and I feel like so many teachers feel that way too. Their heart just isn't in it. And again, it's usually not one singular thing. I'm sure there's
Mhm.
always a straw that breaks the camel's back. There was for me, but it's just a lot of things compounded that
Yeah.
sometimes is very hard to articulate other
Mhm.
than it's the gut feeling that I know it's just time to go.
Yeah. And I think like that also goes back to what we were saying earlier, where a lot of the times teaching is a calling, and I'm saying that in quotation marks, right?
Yes.
Because that's what so many people say, like, "Oh, it's a calling to be a teacher," and there's not very many careers or professions that are seen in that way, but then that adds to that heaviness of making that decision, and then I think that's what also leads so many teachers to try different things, whether it's going for your boards or another professional development or going to another school or trying another grade where you're like, "I just wanna make this work."
Right. And well, because teachers, like you said, it's your calling, right?
Yeah.
And it was, like I said, like, it was like, "Oh,"
Mhm.
and but teachers see this as their identity,
Yep. Yeah.
and it isn't. And that is very hard to internalize because it it is a job by definition, and so it is a means to an end.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel that way because as teachers, we put our whole heart and soul into it. They're my kids, they're not my students,
There's these
right?
expectations. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, and you
Mhm.
have high expectations for those kids and you have high expectations for yourself, and their success is your success as a teacher, right?
Mhm.
Classroom is your second home. You
Yeah.
make it this welcoming space for them and for you to function in 8 hours
Mhm.
of the day. It is your identity.
Yeah, it
It
really is.
really isn't. It doesn't
It
have to be because it is not who you are, it is
Yeah.
just what you do.
Yeah, and I fell into that, right? I fell into it being my identity, and I think that was hard for me to leave, and I don't know about you, but I remember when the first August and September rolled around where I wasn't in the classroom, it was weird, and I was like, all my friends are getting ready to go back, like, all my friends are teachers, like, it was, like, a very weird time because if you think about it, from the age of 4 or 5 years old, what are you doing in August and September, right? You're
Yeah,
getting ready,
yeah.
you're going back to school, and then all of a sudden, it's just time feels different. Time feels different. The year doesn't run from September to June. I'm from in the Northeast in New York, right? We go from September to um, the year runs from January to December. Did you feel any type of way? Because you left in January 25, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so
I'm
you
coming up
went
on a year
through
and a half now.
okay, so this is your first school year, basically, that you're not in a school. Like,
Correct.
have
Yes.
you what's been going on with that? Have you been feeling anything?
So I didn't feel all those weird feelings at
Mhm.
the start of the new school year. I felt it at the end of, so in June
Oh,
of
yeah.
25. I was
Okay.
like, I'm not shutting my classroom down. I'm not
Weird.
having themed days the last 2 weeks of school. We're not
Mhm.
doing awards. I'm not inviting parents in to do
Yep.
award presentations and slideshows and all of this. And, I'm not doing these big culminating activities. Um,
Mhm.
and I do miss that. Like,
Mhm.
just because I have left education, I am a teacher at heart.
Yep, I hear you.
Like, I am. It's just my environment has changed. So it was
Yeah.
weird seeing everyone close out the school year and then, going on summer break.
Yeah.
I say that with a grain of salt because,
Oh, yeah, we know.
right? Like, yes, you have a little bit more freedom and flexibility with your time, but I taught 16 years and I did the math. Of the 16 years, I either moved grade levels, classrooms, schools, or went from in person to virtual and then back again 12 times. So
Oh
there
my
was
gosh.
12 summers out of 16 that I truly worked without getting paid. And
Yeah.
that's not including, you know, me you doing my side hustle, my side job,
Mhm.
as a group fitness instructor and then in tutoring as well. That's not including painting my classroom. That's not including all the professional development that I had to take. And so, as well as I do that like it's not an entire summer. I never got, I'm
Yeah.
saying it in quotes, my summers off. And but
Mhm.
it was still weird for me to think I'm not doing that anymore. By the
Yeah.
time the new school year rolled around, I was so much into my groove and my routine that it didn't phase me at that point.
Okay, so that's interesting. So I left it happened to line up for me where I started the Monday after last day of school was a Friday in June. I started that following Monday, my new role.
Okay.
So I went through the end of the school year. So for me, the first, I guess, like big thing was the beginning of the school year. So that makes sense. We experienced it at different times, but they're both
And
such pivotal moments.
100%. I taught up until the end of the first semester. And
Okay.
then my replacement, took over for second semester, but we still kept in contact.
Hmm.
And to an extent, like I was relinquishing control. It wasn't my classroom or my students anymore, but we stayed in contact. She would send videos and pictures of some of the activities that they were doing. And that last week of school, I came in and we still read one of our favorite books and all the
Oh, that's
sounds and
cute.
all the things. And it was good to see them again and whatnot. So it was a nice bit of closure for me. So I never even though I left in the middle of the school year, I still had enough connection where it didn't feel like I left, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah, and that's nice. You still had that connection with them. Um, so we talked a little bit about, it becomes like your identity. And I think along with that, when you're trying to shed that identity of being a teacher, right? And when you're trying to look for a new job, there's a lot of self-doubt that comes into it. And I think that comes into play with anybody, teacher or not. Whenever you're trying to look for a new job or look for a new career, you feel that self-doubt. Like I said before, like I specifically do tend to work mostly with educators, given my background.
Right.
And what I see every single time, like 100% of the time, is I see this self-doubt and then it turns into this spiral, right? It gets built up from I guess being in the classroom for so many years and different experiences, whether it's admin, parents, just the system in general, right? Students, coworkers, not knowing sort of what to do next. Because realistically speaking, you're a teacher. What do you want to do next? Okay, maybe a department head, a grade level lead, principal, but there's very specific paths. And if you don't want to go down that path, what are you supposed to do? And then I think that self-doubt creeps in. For
Right.
me, it did, especially in the job search. Like there were so many times where I was like, I can't do this. Like I have a master's degree in education. Like what else can I do? Did
Yeah.
you find did you find yourself struggling with that
I
spiral of
think,
self-doubt?
yeah. I mean, if you don't have I think that's just human nature,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't matter your profession, your career, your background, your degree. Self doubt means you're human. I
Mhm.
think there's always going to be apprehension because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right. So when you change jobs, you change careers, even when you change schools or grade levels, you don't know what you don't know. And change can be very, very scary, but change is also necessary. One of my favorite quotes, Virginia Satir, she said, most people prefer the certainty of misery to the misery of uncertainty.
Oh my god. It's like the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know.
Bingo. Yes. And that's it because so many people become paralyzed by fear
Yeah.
that then they don't do anything. And then you're not helping anybody, right? Most people
Mhm.
prefer the certainty of misery to the misery of uncertainty. You would rather stay
Yep.
stuck because it's familiar instead of venturing out into something new and different because you don't know what is on the horizon, right? And everyone's like, the grass is greener, blah, blah, blah. The grass is greener where you water it.
Yep, it is.
The grass is greener where you water it. That's not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not
Mm-mm.
saying it's going to be easy. But I'm saying it's going to be necessary. Self doubt, we all have to make those decisions. We have to make those decisions, whether it's to send the email or make the phone call, right? The thing that have the conversation that's really, really uncomfortable,
Mhm.
change the job, send the application,
Yeah.
or
Just
just
do it.
start,
Yeah.
right? But so many people become paralyzed by fear that they don't do anything. I have found, though, that when you lean into these moments, these smaller moments of self doubt, that helps build your long-term resilience, when
Mhm.
things really go wrong, or it
Yeah.
feels like just everything is happening to you at once, whether it's at your job or just life in general, right? I think those moments of self-doubt where you prove even if sometimes the goal doesn't have to be to achieve the thing. Like, how do you measure progress? How do you measure your outcomes, right? Outcomes are unpredictable, but if you're measuring, "Hey, I'm trying.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm putting myself out there." I
Mhm.
think
That means
those
something.
moments have taught me so much about myself as a person and what I'm capable of, so that even when I have that self-doubt, even
Mhm.
when you get the rejection letter, right? You
Which
still
you will, by the
you
way.
will. Yes, like spoiler alert, like, no, you're not,
Yeah.
and that's another reason why, again, don't look just between the summer months because you gotta be
Yeah.
in it for the long haul, and that's again, any profession,
Well,
it's not usually one and done.
yeah. And I also feel like that part of that, like, "Oh, I'm just gonna look over the summer and I wanna start a new job over the summer," might also stem from a little bit of that self-doubt too, where it's like, "Well, this is like the quote unquote safe time, and like if I don't get anything, then I can go back because of whatever contracts or whatever is in play." And I get that as somebody who was a teacher. And it just so happened for me that I got my offer for my first role outside of the classroom in mid-May, and they had an end of June start date for me, and that worked out for me to finish the school year. If they had said to me, "You need to start in May with a month and a half of the school year left," like, I still would have done it because
Yes.
we need to do what we need to do for ourselves. So I think that part of that wanting to wait does come from that self-doubt because it's like, "Well, what if I pick the wrong lane? Like, what if I'm not qualified for this?"
Bingo. Like, that is so scary. Like, I think the hardest thing is that one where you said, like, if I'm in the wrong lane, what if I decide to go for it and it's the wrong decision?
Then pivot,
Then you
drive
pivot again.
around the other lane.
Bingo. Yes, friend. Like, and
Like,
so
well, you
that's
can.
okay. You have learned. Again, how
Yeah.
are you measuring success?
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, because again, in so many other industries,
Yeah.
these aren't the expectations.
Well, that's what it is, right? I think, like, in every outside of schools, like, hiring happens January, February, March, April, May, like, it happens all year round. And also, it's not a matter of, I'm going to have an interview with the principal, then I'm going to do a demo lesson, and then they're going to offer me the role. And I know that that does not happen in every school, but typically the hiring process for a school is going to be quicker than outside of education. You can be in a hiring process that lasts a month. You can be in a hiring process that lasts 3 months. You can go through 2 rounds. You can go through 5 rounds of interviews.
My last 2 schools, I was hired, one on the spot and one later the same day.
Right.
That
So
doesn't happen in corporate.
no, it doesn't, and I think, like, myself included, so many of us go into this thinking that it's going to be this similar thing, like, "Oh, I'll get a job, like, I've gotten every teaching job I've applied to, whatever, blah, blah, blah," people say, and then they struggle because there is there's no playbook, there's no warning, there's no spoiler alert unless you talk to people that have done it, unless you hear from people's experience. And, I've talked to so many teachers and they're like, "Wait, what do you mean I could be looking for a job for 6 months?" I'm like, You could be looking for a job for 3 months, for 6 months, for a year." Like, there's so many factors that play into this. Um,
I Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was
no,
gonna
go
say,
ahead, go.
I think also too, whenever you decide to start looking, that's already your internal cue that,
Yeah,
like,
that you gotta
something
know.
isn't right, and maybe
Mhm.
you can't articulate it again, but if you're
Yeah.
looking, that's already your gut telling you. And I think the best thing for someone to do is really take, like, some time to do some soul searching and figure out, okay, what am I really good at? Where do I
Mhm.
shine? What do I authentically, uniquely bring to the table? And part of that job search initially is finding jobs that speak to those skills,
Right. Right.
because so many teachers want to throw spaghetti to a wall, right?
Gosh,
And
yeah.
hope that it
Mhm. It's a
sticks.
resume.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm not saying that you don't have a ton of transferable skills. Goodness knows, as a teacher,
Oh, you
you do.
do.
You have a
Absolutely.
ton,
Yeah.
but so much of it doesn't matter in specific roles. So think about where you really shine. You know,
Mhm.
were you the teacher that everyone came to for blank?
Right,
Right?
and
What did
figure out
you
how to.
lead? Yes.
Yeah, and then how are you gonna translate that, right? Like, how are you gonna share that? And that was something that I struggled with a lot. Like, all of the work that teachers do absolutely does matter and does have some type of relevance outside of the classroom, but it's the way that you phrase it, right? So, when I was teaching, I didn't know what a KPI was or what a success plan was. So now picture I'm talking to a teacher using those phrases and they're not understanding. That's like that's the same thing that happens when you're interviewing and you're talking about IEPs and
MTSS. Like,
data. Yeah, and state tests. So it's figuring out how to translate that without lying too, because I think a lot of times people fall into this trap of, like, I have to erase me being a teacher completely. And no, no,
oh,
because it is valuable, but you need to speak about it in a way that makes sense. It's like when you're teaching, you're tailoring the way that you're explaining things to differently to your 12th graders,
yes.
to your 7th graders, right? You need to tailor the way that you're explaining your experience. Please don't lie about it and please don't make things up. And I run into that a lot and I understand why and I understand where it comes from. And it's it's a quite a learning curve to figure out how to translate things in the way that they need to be, right? And the way that they need to be said so that they're understood by folks outside of the classroom. Um, so with all that in mind, we talked a lot about timing and translating your skills and everything, but what would you say to a teacher who's been thinking about leaving the classroom for the last 2 years, but they've been pushing it off because they're scared?
I mean, like I said, that's your gut's telling you something. If you've been thinking about it, I would want to know, like, why are you thinking about it, right? Like,
Mhm.
why is this on your heart and in your
Yeah.
mind?
Mhm.
And what is your gut telling you to do? Is your
Yeah.
gut telling you to stay? is your gut telling you to leave. I think, again, you have to really see what's out there because
Yeah.
there are so many professions, job titles
Mhm.
that are beyond the box that we teachers live in,
We
right?
didn't even know exist, right? Like,
Bingo. They don't know, we don't know they
yeah,
exist because that's just not the our wheelhouse. That's not our
mhm,
environment that we've been living in.
yeah,
So it's you have to do your research.
a lot of it.
Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
understand what is available. And I think that's just the most important initial first step is to really think about what do I bring to the table and what's out there. But
Mhm.
what I would say to that teacher is, you know, really check in with yourself. If this has been in your mind and on your heart for 2 years, okay, what's your
There's
gut
reason.
telling you?
Yeah. Yeah, and we we don't realize, like you said, like what's out there or how it even works and what is avail or what opportunities are available to us without talking to people and getting to know what's out there. Nobody's gonna do it for you. You need to put yourself out there as scary and terrible as that sounds.
It's scary,
It ends up
yes.
Yeah, like, but that will end up with you moving into something that is a better fit for you that you enjoy. So, share with us what you're doing now. So, from classroom teacher to customer experience manager, tell us a little
Yes.
bit about that.
Well, so I started as an executive assistant, and for my company, that was really beneficial because, again, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And it was an opportunity for me to explore not only the company, but office administration, medical education, sales, all the different
Mhm.
aspects that make our company so wonderful. I think if
Yeah.
I would have been thrown into one specific position where I was more tailored or narrowed, it wouldn't allow me to see the bigger picture.
Mhm.
As executive assistant, there's this misconception among some people of executive assistants. There's
Yeah.
the one bucket where you are a strategic partner, which I was. There's the other bucket where people think I just get coffee. Um, when I quit my job and I submitted my letter of resignation, I told my principal what I was going to do, and I love her to pieces. I love her. She's wonderful. She's amazing. Don't get me wrong. I told her I was going to be an executive assistant, and she was like, "So, like a glorified secretary?"
Oh god.
Oh, like, no, ma'am. No, that's not what I'm doing. But
Yeah.
I was treated as a strategic partner. I had autonomy. That was
No.
weird. We're gonna put a
Yes.
pin in that.
Yeah.
That's weird.
That is weird.
I had autonomy. I didn't have that as a teacher, but through that process, it allowed me to find where I really fit well, or
Mhm.
where not even a fit, but where I could add value to the company. What I
Yeah.
wanted to really do on my own and take it and run with it. And again, because I was given autonomy, I have been empowered and allowed to do that, which again is a feeling that a lot of teachers just don't feel often.
Right. I
And
yeah.
yeah. And
Real
so
quick, yeah, I remember that, like, I remember my first month or so where I was like, "Wait, I make my schedule, I decide who I'm meeting, when I'm meeting on the calendar, like, I can go for a walk, I can get a
I'm
drink of
encouraged to do
water."
that.
Like, and then, like, yeah, like, there was one point where my manager was like, "Why don't you go for a walk? It's a nice day outside, like, get some fresh air, come back to this," and I was like, "Oh, oh, but oh, okay." Yeah, such a novel concept, like,
I don't have to
you
ask permission to send this
yeah,
email
I
to
don't
you.
need to get
Like I can just do it.
to get coverage. I don't yeah, yeah, it was yeah, so I get that. Sorry, I cut you off, but I had to jump in there with that because it was a
Right?
I remember it was a wild feeling.
Like I can, the joke of like I can go to the bathroom whenever I want.
Yeah,
It is true. Like,
it's
my coffee
wild.
doesn't get cold. I go to the bathroom whenever I want. It's a little thing.
Except when you only drink iced coffee like I do, but yeah.
I do not. It is I'm in North Carolina. It is, well, we're halfway through May. It will be the middle of July and August. I'm still gonna be drinking my hot coffee. I just can't
Oh,
help it. I can't help it.
ooh.
Uh,
Hot or iced coffee off of my rapid fire questions.
you already know the
Like,
answer.
yeah, we already yeah.
Spoiler
Oh, go
alert.
ahead. Sorry.
But like having a tie is so weird, right? Because
Mhm.
first of all, in the classroom, you only feel like there is so much you control. You can control almost what happens in the four walls of your classroom, and you still feel like you can't even do that sometimes.
Yeah.
But like you were talking about, like asking permission to do things, the most wonderful thing is being able to go to appointments without having to take a half day or a full day off and make sub plans that may or may not be executed well. And my classroom may or may not be a complete wreck when I come in first thing in the morning and I have to spend 15, 20 minutes to
Mhm.
tidy up and
Yeah.
undo what was done the day before. Um, the hardest thing for me, though, was again that back to that idea of like, you don't know, you don't know. It is incredibly humbling to feel like an expert in your field, right?
Oh, yeah.
You were a banging teacher who knew exactly what to do. Like you would walk into
Yeah.
any classroom, you could teach any lesson, even if you hadn't prepped for it, you could just read through it and you would feel comfortable sitting in that chair or standing up and delivering high quality instruction with great student engagement, right? That
Mhm.
was me. And
Then
then
you
I walk
suddenly
in and then I'm like, I don't know anything right now. It's not comfortable. What do
Yeah.
you want me to do? I don't know where to find that. I don't know what that acronym means. I don't know what you're asking me to do.
Do I get an allotment of copies to make? Like, how many reams of paper can I use?
Not to do that. No, no. In fact, I can order it on my own.
Weird, right? Weird.
Weird.
So tell us a little bit about what you're doing now as a customer experience manager.
So through that whole process as being an executive assistant, I found my niche, right? I found
Yeah.
like really where I was thriving, what really our company needed. And I think my years as a teacher really just lend itself to that. My job is ultimately to
Mhm.
make sure that everybody has what they need in order to be successful,
So is
to
that,
create such an experience that they're like, yes, this brand, this company, I'm the go-to person. I make sure my sales reps have what they need. I make
oh, yeah.
sure our customers have what they need. Whether it is in our office or
Mhm.
outside, my job with whether it's event planning or hosting or travel and registration or designing new onboarding and learning management and performance management structures for new hires. That's what I'm currently working on. My job
Wow.
now is it, and it's a lot, right? But it goes back to me being the teacher, the
Yeah.
forever educator. That's like I see this gap that I would like to help address, and it means a lot for our newest hires to be successful and to feel like they have work that is scaffold for them.
Mhm.
And that was missing, and so it was great. You can do
Yeah.
it.
So that's such an interesting role, and I feel like it encompasses a lot. And you mentioned working with customers. So a role that a lot of teachers that I work with want to transition into, they think about customer success, which is different than what you're doing because you're doing a lot more than what is entailed in customer success, but you're also doing some things that sound a little bit so I
They're
guess
adjacent. I think the
yeah.
misconception is one is more reactive, the other is more proactive.
So tell me a little bit about the customer side of your role and how you work with customers.
Most of my what I do is, like I said, is very indirectly because we have reps who are in the field.
Okay, so
And
you're supporting the sales
I
reps.
am that is it. That is it. I
Okay.
am very
Okay.
much I am the go-between for a lot of different
Mhm.
things. Um,
Okay.
which I like.
Yeah,
You
that's
know, as a
awesome.
teacher, you were
Yeah.
facilitating everything, and it was
Yeah.
exhausting.
Yeah.
But again, it goes back to like watching my students be successful. I like when everyone has the tools that they need so
Mhm.
that they can feel successful, right? Again, it goes back to their success is my success.
So it's a little bit like sales enablement too.
I work alongside of them as
Yeah.
well. Yeah,
And
our
I
sales
think
enablement specialist and CRM.
yeah,
I dabble a little bit in like a lot of different things too. Like I really
learning
do.
development sounds like
Yes, yes,
yeah.
100%. This whole performance management and learning management piece,
Mhm.
I think is going to be really interesting to see when it launches full scope. You know, we're doing little bit
Yeah.
by little bit in as part of our rollout. And I think once we go live full scope, I'm really going to be, thinking about data driven decision making, you know, What does the data tell me? What other gaps do exist? How can I best support them? Because in our profession, in our industry, it is a lot of information thrown at our reps at a very high speed. And so how can I alleviate? Everyone jokes like it's like drinking from a fire hose, which it is.
Yeah.
It was like drinking from a fire hose for me.
And I never heard that phrase until I moved into sales.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, because again, I think like teaching, okay, when you go into the classroom in August or in your case, September,
September.
you
Labor Day.
see, I've worked at least 2 weeks before Labor Day, but like you kind of know, like, okay, the first couple of weeks, I'm
Yeah,
going to
you know
set
the
the
drill.
expectations and I'm going to get to know my students and
Mhm.
we're going to, you know, that is like par for the course. But when you're in a medical device industry, when you're in the healthcare industry, it's just a lot of information. And so,
Mhm.
yes, drinking from a fire hose, but it's
Mhm.
so true. And so, my question is okay, how can I turn the faucet level down just a scotch, right?
Right.
What scaffolds, what supports can I give you
Yeah.
um, to help you along your way so that you feel like you're not having to take the time to find answers because I've already provided the answers and the resources for
Mhm.
you. How do we, in education, we have our observations, which are like the weirdest things ever, right? Because,
Yeah.
you know, boys and girls, today we're going to have a visitor. Don't worry. She's not watching you. She's
Yeah.
watching me. Right. And like, if we have a really good day, I want you, you know what to do. Make me proud of it. If
Yeah.
we have a really good day, then you give 5 extra minutes of recess. We've all been there. Okay. Like,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
we've
yeah.
all been there as a teacher. Well, but they're actually beneficial, right? Because
Mhm.
they give you guidance and advice and next steps or things to
Yeah.
think about or just an outsider perspective. What I'm
Mhm.
able to do now is help provide the framework and the structure
Yeah.
and the code to be able to put it in the platform for that same idea to be able to be executed in the field.
And yeah, and it seems like you found something that proves that teachers' skills and experiences really are valuable outside of the classroom in different roles. Like we are both in two different roles, right? I'm an account manager. I'm on the sales side of things, talking with teachers and educators, administrators about our solutions, and you're providing your sales folks with those resources and those tools. And we're doing different things, but they're so closely tied together and also so closely tied to teaching. And I think something important also for teachers to remember, and this is what I always share, is it is important to pick a target role, right? It's important to pick something that you want to do, not a million
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
That something could be called something different at company ABC and company XYZ. So now we need to really go through job descriptions and make sure that the
Bingo.
roles and responsibilities align, right? Because my role is an account manager. Sometimes what I do is listed as an account executive or a partnership manager, or something that some other company made up, right? What you're doing right now could very well fall into sales enablement, maybe could fall into learning and development, right? So it's not as important to look at the title. I mean, sure, look at the title to an extent, but understand that the roles and responsibilities are what's more important for when you're considering your next role.
Yes, looking at the job responsibilities and the job description is imperative because, like HR, you could be called HR manager, you could be called director of people. It's the same
Right.
thing, but like, do I want to
Yeah.
direct people? I don't know. Can I direct people? Am I qualified? Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's HR.
Right. So it goes back to that translation, right? Everything is translated and it's so overwhelming, but there's so many good people and good resources out there. You just need to put yourself out there to get those. And getting started on LinkedIn is the best way to start that. I have one final question for you before we go into our rapid fire. Are you
Yeah,
ready?
yeah.
So Erin likes to ask, what is the best piece of career advice you'd ever gotten? But I like to ask, what is the worst piece of career advice you've ever been given?
Ooh.
I know, right? Dirty
Um,
here. Maybe when you were going through your pivot.
I was gonna say, let me ponder this. I don't know that I got bad career advice.
Hmm.
Honestly, because I didn't open up to a lot of people like about how I was feeling.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe you've heard, like, I know you talk
I
to a lot of teachers on LinkedIn. Like, has anyone said, like, "Oh, somebody told me this," where you're like, "This."
100%, like, yeah, like, I'm gonna go that route.
Go ahead.
I recently I was having a conversation and we were talking about this earlier,
Mhm.
uh, and it was based on the timing of everything,
Yeah.
right? And I understand you wanna honor your contract. I understand um, you have grit and you are loyal and you want to see the school year through because it is hard. It's hard to leave in the middle of the year. It's hard to leave
Oh,
your
yeah.
students,
Oh, yeah.
after the routine has started and built. I do understand that. But he this person was very resistant to leaving until the summer months, and I think I'm
Mm.
sorry, that's just it in an ideal world, and you can obviously attest to that, right? It can
Mhm.
happen. It
Yeah.
doesn't happen every single time, right? And
Yeah,
I
it's
think
rare.
by only looking to find or land something between those few months, you are really narrowing the scope of what you can do, where you can go, how far you can climb, the money you can make. Enter thing here, right? Whatever you want,
You're li
whatever it is that you want to do, is
you're limiting
everything that I
yourself.
have. Say it again. I'm sorry.
You're limiting yourself.
You're limiting yourself. That's it. And everything that I have done, whether it's starting my boards, applying for my doctorate, changing my careers, it's had this domino effect.
Yeah.
And when you narrow your scope so much and you are unopen to possibilities outside of the academic year, you
Yeah.
have created too wide of a gap and the dominoes aren't going to fall.
That's yeah. So, I guess the worst piece of career advice you've ever heard was wait until the summer to start
Wait.
looking for a new job.
It's just wait it out. Wait it out and
Yeah.
finish your contract.
Yeah,
I
no.
just yeah,
Oof. I
I
would
I can't support that. I
yeah.
understand it. I respect it. I can't support that.
Yeah, it's a tough one, and I think, like, honestly, Emily, we could talk forever, like, maybe we should do, like, a part 2, 3, and 4 at this point, uh, maybe even 5.
Okay, let's do it.
But okay, so, I know that you like hot coffee. That's the one thing that's different, I guess, about us. But what is your typical coffee order?
Almond milk and a little bit of stevia.
Oh, okay. Beach or pool?
Pool.
Ooh, I thought you were gonna say beach for sure.
No,
Okay.
because here's the fun fact, like, when I go to the beach, I don't know, like, maybe it's because I live on the Atlantic. If I was in Hawaii, I would go into the
That's
ocean all the
fair.
time, right? But,
That's fair.
I'm not saying I don't like the beach. I'm saying, like, I will go waist deep and come back in and go back to
That's
shore.
fair. What is
I am binging Elementary right now,
Oh, I
with
remember that one.
Lucy Liu. I
Okay.
really like things like Castle and Will Trent and that kind of CSI genre.
Okay.
Elementary has I think it's like 7 seasons, but it's been off air for a while, but I never started it.
Okay.
Absolutely love it. Elementary.
All right. Good
It's a
rec.
modern day version of Sherlock Holmes.
Okay. All right. If you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Ooh, I will go sentimental and I will say my grandmother's roast and her sweet potato casserole.
Nice. And last one. What is one word to describe you that has nothing to do with your job?
Energetic.
Oh, okay. Nice. Well, thank you so much, Emily, for joining us. Um, it was so nice to have you. So nice to talk to you. I'm sure we'll talk in 5 minutes anyway. But
Probably. No,
thank you
this
for being here.
yes. No, this has been so much fun. It's always a joy to connect with you thank you again for allowing the opportunity to share my story. I'm grateful for the time.
Thank you. And thanks everybody for spending your lunch break with us today.